Hello everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Wokey, and I'm back with another Fake Grand Order video. And today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming event, which is GudaGuda Super Goryokaku. That's going to be today's video. I hope you like it. If you do, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what units you look forward to summoning on, and if you are prepared for the raids, which I think is what most people are looking forward to in this event. But again, anything that you're looking forward to, please let me know. And then now, let's begin. So when does the event start? It should be here on the 19th. We know this because there's going to be a stream on the 19th, 6 p.m. PT. 2 hours after the stream, it's when the game should go into maintenance, and then after maintenance, the event itself will start, and that's simple enough. Though, funny enough, depending on when the maintenance ends, like, for example, it usually ends on the 20th for me because it happens at midnight. The event itself will be starting on the 20th. But they still counted as starting it as if it was the 19th. There's just a funny little detail. So there you go. That's when it should start. How long it's going to be? Well, in the JP version of the game, it lasted 3 weeks. So I would assume it would last about the same. So that would mean that it will end on December 10th. And that's my guess for that. To participate inside the event, all you need to do is clear Fuyuki. And now, what type of event is this? Well, I mentioned a little bit beforehand that there are going to be raids in it, so it's a raid style of event along with points. There will be a points ladder in which you can climb. The ending of it is 3 million, and there's a buttload of materials, QP, a bunch of stuff in it, including summon tickets, which you can get one at 100k, and then the next one is at 300k, and then the final one is at 700k. So you definitely want to be climbing the ladder as much as you can. If you can't complete the event, I would say at least trying to get there. So maybe 1 million is the off point, because that's when you get the last of these. Yeah, so that would be a good stopping point if you could not completely finish it. But hopefully within 3 weeks you should be able to. Now, when do the raids start? That's a good question. So let's take a look at the event schedule. You'll see the event schedule will look like this. So on the 19th, that's when the prologue, main quest, act 1, act 2, and free quest will drop. This is the start of the event. And then the next day, that's going to be main quest, act 3 to 5, and another free quest. And then the next day after that, it's act 6 through the 8th, and then some more free quests. And then the day after that, that's when act 9 drops and the raid quests as well. So that means it will be the 22nd, because this will be 19th, 20, 21, 22. So that's going to be on a Saturday, and that will be at daybreak, or login when it happens. When login happens on the 22nd, that's when the raid should begin. Now, some things you should take note of is that you need to have gathered at least until that point 300,000 rage points, which is the thing that you need for the ladder itself to participate in the raids. If you do not get to this point, even if the raids start, you will not be participating, and that's bad because every second that you waste in the raids means less and less time to go through it and stuff like that. And then after that, the next day, there will be main quest act 10 through 12 and some requests, and then finally on the final day, which will be on the 24th, that's when the extra quests will begin. So that's how the event schedule is looking like. We'll take a look at the raid quest a little bit further into the video, but for now, let's just continue on. There'll be new limited servants, including one that is not actually pictured on here because she was a surprise, I guess, for later. But the banner we'll start with will have Takeda Shingen and Nagakura Shinpachi, along with there being a welfare, which is Saika Magoch, which you can see her right there. She's going to be the welfare for this event. And then some more stuff going. In terms of the event mechanics, in terms of if you don't know how this works, you acquire the welfare, you get items, you get rage points for getting it, you exchange items and currencies. It's very basic stuff. The raid quest will happen, and that's when you can get a whole bunch of them. And then you can acquire her after you clear the main story, and then you can get additional NP copies. One's in the shop, and then the others are in the extra quests. In terms of event bonus, these are the units that will have their specific bonus in it. So units that have 100% damage and 50% bond are going to be Saika, Takeda, Shinpachi, and Kenshin, which is going to be the other 5-star that will come in a banner later. Units that will get 50% damage and 20% bond are Okita, Saito, Kagetora, Hijikata, Mori, Venture Nobu, and Ranmaru X. And then the only unit that gets 50% damage but 5% bond is going to be MASH. And then 30% damage, 20% bond. These are basically the other units that were also featured in GudaGuda at some point. at some point. They are Okita Alter Summer, Kaisuke, Takatsuji, Archer Nobu, Nobukatsu, Lancer and Writer Sakamoto Ryoma, Writer Medusa, Azuma no Okoni, Assassin Lee Shiwen, Summer Okita, Jay Soji, Izzo, Sen no Rikyo, Summer Nobu, Cha-Cha, Himiko, Io, and Okita Alter, the regular one. There should be a login campaign, which you can see here, that will take place over the 21 days, which will give you 3 golden apples and 18 silver apples, an apple a day to keep the doctor away. The event cards that'll be a part of the event itself. There'll be the event C, How to Life, which is this is the one that you get to increase your ladder points, which increases quick performance by 8%, increases arts performance by 8%, increases NP generation rate by 5%, and then starts battle with a 30% NP gauge. And then, yeah, when it's, you get 30% more points, and then when it's max limit broken, it's 60%. And then 2 craft essences that are there to give more EXP to craft essences, which is the Nice Guy and the Leave It to Saika. Some event command codes, which is the Invincible Hajime-chan, increases the critical damage, increases crit damage by 50% on the engraved card, and then gain 2 crit stars when attacking using the engraved card. We have Hosho Tsukige, I don't know how to pronounce that, to be Tsukige, increases critical star absorption by 50% on the engraved card, and then increases critical damage by 10% on the engraved card. And then we have the Drive Nobu, when engraved on a quick card, gain 3 stars when attacking using the engraved card. And then someone, Hijikata, will be able to get a strengthening from this, which will change Law of the Shinsengumi to EX EX with a parenthesis points on him. Increase on critical star absorption for 3 turns. Increase on critical damage based on the remaining HP for 3 turns. Charge your own MP gauge, that's a new effect. And then it still deals damage to yourself because you actually want to get damage with my guy here. Next, inside the event shop, because of course there'll be an event shop for this, which will have Takeda handles, the Bishamonten stickers, and the Awagawa, the Imagawayaki, something like that. For Takeda handles, to get everything in the shop, you'll need 4,550, and then inside of it, you will have 1 NP copy of Saika, 2 event CEs, 1 lore, 16 sacks of 10 servant coins for Saika, which will be 160 coins in total, 40 stacks of 10 evocation leaves, so you'll get 400 in total if you get everything, a golden foe for HP and attack, 10 spirit roots, 10 mirrors, 20 magatamas, 30 obsidian edges, 30 golden archer, rider, and berserker statue, and a code remover. And then after you get everything in the shop, you can start exchanging them for 10,000 QP at the drop of a hat. Next, we have the Bishmonten sticker, which to get everything for this side of it, which is the silver material, you're going to need 3,950 in total for everything. And then inside the shop is 1 event CE, 1 lore, 16 stacks of 10 servant coins, so 160 again, 30 stacks of 10 Iwokisha leaves, so 300, 1 golden foe for attack, 20 Languia, 20 infinity gear, 20 horseshoes, 30 bells, and then 20 silver archer, rider, and berserker statue, along with a code remover. And then after you get everything in the shop, you can start exchanging these for the Takeda handle, which is going to take about, it will be a ratio of 10 to 1. So for every 10 Bishmonten sticker, I keep wanting to call them stickers. I don't think they're called stickers. Is it sticker? Okay. For some reason, my eyesight is bad. I was saying sticklers, and I'm like, that makes no sense. Excuse my bad eyesight and everything. I blame work is overworking my brain. But anyway, let's continue on. We have, for the bronze material, which is the thing I cannot pronounce for the life of me, so we're just going to leave it at the bronze material. It was, hold up. Okay, yes, excuse me, my brain was really not working on it. You're going to need 4,950 in total. Inside the shop will be 1 event CE, 1 lore, 16 stacks of 10 servant coins, so 160 in total, 30 stacks of 10 evocation leaves, so 300 again. 1 golden foe for HP, 20 silver foe for attack and HP, 55 EXP, 104 EXP, 103 EXP, 20 feathers, 20 crystals, 20 yarns, 20 bones, and a code remover. And then after you finish everything here, you can get stickers for 10 a pop. And yeah, that's the event shop. If you're doing the raids, you should be able to very easily get everything in the event shop. No problem, actually. You likely will finish the event shop long before you finish the point rewards, depending on how your kind of CE stuff goes. It's going to really depend on a lot of things. I think most people, I think for me specifically, I usually focus in on the points things, and then I end up getting all these anyway, because I obviously am grinding it all out. Now, in terms of main quest and free quests, yeah, like I said, for the main quest, the main thing you have to take in part of this is that certain acts will be locked behind how many points you get. Just make sure you get the rage points before we get to Act. So Act 9 will happen, and you'll have to have acquired at least 300,000, and then after this, we'll unlock the raid quest. Now, in terms of the raid quest, which we will look at them here above here, because there'll be more of a focus above here. Oh, another thing to take note, because these will be a part of the raid quest. And during the free quest, at the beginning of the third wave for every free battle, a Nobu will kind of drive up and give you one of the following, either Buster Power, which is all party members are buffed with Buster up by 20% for 3 turns and MP damage by 30% for 3 turns. All party members are buffed on their Quick by 20%, or it's Arts, and for Arts it also gives you some more NP gauge, and for Quick it gives you critical stars. That's the main difference. Or they'll deliver you a random bonus material, or they'll give you like a random treasure, and usually the treasure in and of itself that you can see here it can be like an event CE, it can be an additional material, it can be QP, it can be one of those things. For the raids themselves, because obviously a lot of the raids you want to actually kind of try and kill in a single hit, I believe the Nobu will show up on the first wave. I also feel like this might also be wrong, and it might be here. This is one of the problems of when because I've said it in the past, I don't play the JP version of the game because I like to wait for the translated version on the NA side. So a lot of the times it relies on me on the wikis sometimes, but I think I've actually seen 2 disparaging things, because one of them says that during the raids this will pop up on the first turn, and this one says on the 3rd turn for this, but then that doesn't make any sense because these buffs last for 3 turns. Basically, this is my way of saying if there's anything wrong about this, feel free to correct me on it, but that's all I could get based off of what I've heard from other people. But yeah, but for the raid quest, that Nobu should show up on turn 1 to help out with him, because most people are going to be trying to get these done on turn 1 if they can. And then for the raids themselves, we have 3 of them basically. So we have the Iwagawa General, which will be the first one of them. And then after this one dies, there'll be 4 that show up simultaneously, which will be the Tokaido High King, the Sakaido High King, the Nankaido High King, and the Hokkaido High King. And then after all 4 of those are dead, will be the Hattori Takeo, which will be the final raid boss, and which is the one we are most likely going to be fighting for the vast majority of the time here. The Imagawa General, you need to have... Okay, so let me actually, before I do anything, explain to you, if you've never participated in a raid, this is basically PvE content. It's all of us fighting these raids at the same time, and then once we reach a certain number of kills, these will go away and the new ones will come up. I do say PvE because technically we are all working together, though at times it feels like we are actually working against each other as we all try and get as much material grinding that we can before these things go away forever, because like I said, the raids feature a lot of good material drops, and it's also the best way to actually farm the event itself. I think one time I didn't participate in the raids and decided to grind the event naturally, and it was the biggest regret I ever had, because up until that point I had been participating in every raid, and the one time I decided not to participate, it was like a slow grind to get to the end. So if you can participate in the raids, it'd be really a good idea, but if you can't, I guess don't worry about it too much. These are likely only going to last a single day. If you play the JP version of the game, you're used to this, because these things only last a very limited time. Like, these things die so crazy quick. Like, I remember, it's a really big problem on JP. They've had to do it at times where they had to give more kills because they would kill them too quickly. But so how much health do these guys have? For the Imagawa Generals, after we reach 4 million kills, they'll go away and the new ones will come in. For all the High Kings, they're all at 3 million, so the one that have the best material are going to die first. I believe on the JP version of the game, that was the Sakaido High King and the Hokkaido High King. Yeah, both of these basically died pretty close to the same time. Looking at them, let me see, 22, 44, 23. So this one died first. The reason being is that it had... Oh my god, because this has bones and sun scales? Holy shit. Okay, now I know why this thing died. But anyway, yeah, that's the fight. And then after all 4 of them die, after you've reached the total amount of kills, the way it's going to go is that even though they all have 3 million, the one like Hokkaido will die first, and then once Hokkaido dies first, people will go, okay, time to go grind the other ones, and then the other one. So if you actually participate in one of the ones that is maybe a little bit less popular than the others, such as the Takeda High King, which was the last one to drop, because I think its drops were... then what? This was last? This had Genesis eggs in it and horseshoes. Okay, I guess it's the horseshoes. The slivers and certain deaths. Okay, so this one wasn't top priority for a lot of people on JP version of the game. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is pick one you like. Hopefully it's not the one that has the most in them and kind of go from them there. And then the final one, this is the one we're most likely all going to be participating in because this is the one that has the most health, which is 16 million. And on JP, this one lasted until basically day roll on the 3rd, I think. Yeah, it basically lasted until then because this one started on 12/2, which was at 18. 12/2/18, and then this one ended at 12/3/18 JST time. So it was basically a full 24 hours of them up, and then that was it. These raids don't show up again. So yeah, I don't know how in depth I want to go into how much of these you want to have to be fighting of them. I've been debating if you really want me to talk about all of these raids as we get to the lead up of it. Let me know and I'll drop a video. The reason I usually don't do a video on these is because they last for such an infrequent amount of time. Like these generals, it's very simple. There's only 3 of them. These are probably the easiest fight of all of them because there's 3 generals here. They're all berserkers. You want to try and kill them all at the same time. Fairly straightforward. For the High Kings, the things that you have to keep remembering here is to get the full material drops, you have to kill the raid boss and the minion. If you only kill the raid boss, you're actually missing out on the additional material drops. So you want to really make sure that you kill both of them at the exact same time. For all these High Kings, they have like additional like different little dudes. Like they don't all have the little dudes. Like for example, this guy comes in with a high centipede that will have a passive buff that buffs the High King's defense by 50%. And then you'll also see that the Takeda High Kings buffs the little dude with taunt and invincibility for 3 turns, for 3 times 3 turns, and gives himself debuff immunity for 3 turns. So this would be best to be completed with someone who can pierce invincibility and stuff like that, or can remove their buffs and do something like that. And then for the Sakaido, like I said, they all have different kind of things to go from. And then you can see also from there, it's a Berserker as the mini boss and the Rider for the higher one. So there's a lot of different strategies that you can do to participate in them. But I feel like for the best bet of everything, you should look at the materials for one of these High Kings. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to have a strategy for all of them. And it's probably best to kind of look at the one that has the drops you want. Figure out a way to kill them as quickly as you can. Like, for example, this one, which was the quickest one, the Hokkaido High King. It's a Berserker, and a little mini Rider here, where the Vorpal Chicken has a buff that buffs all allies with debuff resistance by 50% while he's on the field. And then the Grey Wolf has a passive that buffs all allies with damage cut of 1,000 while on the field. And then at the start of battle, the Hokkaido High King will increase the gauge of max buff self for MP damage by 50% for 1 turn, special defense up, MP attacks by 50% for 1 time. Okay, makes sense enough. And then for the final one, the Hatari Takayo, thankfully it's just a singular fight against a Saber boss, but the thing you have to keep in mind for this is that he actually buffs himself with Guts of 200,000 for 1 turn, 3 turns. So that means that after you deal the max amount of damage, he will activate Guts, and then you'll go from there. So you have to actually make sure you hit him twice. Depending on the kind of player you are, that's either going to be very easy or very hard. For me, it shouldn't really be that tough, but if you're a newer player, this is why you should participate in some of the lower rares. So this was for the highest difficulty. So with 1 million HP, you take him down, he triggers Guts, and he gets back 200,000. You have to make sure that your follow-up attack will be enough to kill him. But if you're doing it on an easier difficulty, then he only revives with a Guts of 10,000 HP, and his HP starts with 200,000, which is much more manageable. Obviously, your drops are worse, but you're actually able to beat them, which is the important thing here of note when you go through it. And now, the final thing that I want to talk about before I start talking about the other things in the event. Again, if you want me to do a specific breakdown of here's some units I think you could likely use for it, I can also leave here. There was already someone does a Reddit post here where they do on full on like, hey, here's the specific team setups that we know for a fact has been successful on JP. Here's also some theory crafting that we've done that we think this could be possible if you're free to play or something like that. I'll leave it in the comments below that you can check it out for yourself and kind of check it and see for it. It's very useful during raids. I've used it in the past, and even sometimes when it said like, hey, this is really recommended if you have this NP level, I've been able to do it with the units that they've suggested, but at lower NP level. So again, it's a lot of experimenting as you go in. I understand that this can be a little bit of a hard time to be experimenting with because of how much FOMO is built into this style event where you're like, I need to be constantly grinding or my chance of doing anything is gone. Again, I feel like if you prepare for the final one and accept the fact that you are likely going to miss the beginning ones because either you're asleep or you're whatever, I think you should be fine. But these things should last at least 24 hours. You should find some time to be able to do them in that kind of amount. Whether or not you're able to do it in the full amount, who knows? But the thing I was going to say before I got completely off tracked by myself is, okay, so how should I be grinding these? Should I be doing this at the highest level possible for the best drops? But it takes me less, let's say it takes me about 5 turns to complete this at the highest difficulty level. Is that better than doing this at a lower one where I can do it in 1? My response to that is always try and do the one that is possible for you to basically 1-turn it, and at worst 2-turn it. You want to be here with as much effectiveness as possible. You're going to earn more if you're able to kill them quickly and move on than if you spend like 2 to 3 turns killing them and then kind of going from that. From my own experience, I'll say, as someone who has had this in the past, where I did not have a unit that could successfully do what I wanted, I grinded on the easier nodes because that was the way to go. And for a lot of these higher nodes, you're going to need a black rail. A lot of people suggest you having a black rail that is max limit broken. So that is getting the maximum benefit from it. And obviously not everyone is going to have that. I have that, but that doesn't mean that absolutely everyone could have that. And that also doesn't mean that you should feel like, oh, well, what should I just 5-turn it then? No, just go for the one that you know for a fact that you can kill and grind it that way. Don't get lost in this idea that you're like, no, I have to go for the higher material, because you're going to earn more material, I think, if you just do it on the easiest level that you can do it and do it easily, than trying to be like, I'm being annoyed here, where I'm like taking me 5 turns and sometimes it's very inconsistent. Like, you're going to get angrier as you go on, and that's not the way that you should go into these raids, because you're going to need to be doing it as effective as possible. That's my basic advice for it. Again, this event can be a little bit stressful, I guess. I think people stress over it a lot just because we have such limited time to be doing anything, and a lot of the times it's like, oh man, I couldn't participate in it. Again, don't worry about it too much. Plus, there is a lotto coming up, and for a lot of people, lotto can be better, just because there's not as much of a crazy crunch on it like the raids do. And at that point, you can go like, okay, well, I have a little bit more time to participate in it. Like, you have the entire event itself to lotto grind, as opposed to this one where this event is available for 3 weeks, but this raid is likely only going to last for about 24 hours is how long it took JP. If I were to say for us, maybe it would take somewhere close to, maybe not 48 hours, maybe closer to maybe 40 hours or so. 24 plus maybe an additional 10, maybe 36 hours or so. Let's say that's how long it takes. But yeah, that's my basic thing. Again, if you want me to do a specific breakdown talking about some units that can be used for it, let me know, and I'll look into doing a video like that. Otherwise, I think that's just basic advice that's good enough to help you out with it. and you shouldn't be stressing over it too much. Not as much as I have. Lord knows I've been stressing out about it a lot more, but I think at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion of the acceptance of this is just simply the best way to handle this for your best frame of mind and for your easiest experience. And then continuing on, there is going to be a challenge quest that after you've cleared Solomon in Act 12, it will be able to be available for you, and that's where you'll be able to fight Kenshin. I don't look too much into the challenge quest unless I want to do it later, but completely blind. And now, oh boy, we can go into the banners. And Lord, there are a lot of banners in this one. We have Summoning Campaign 1, Summoning Campaign 2, Summoning Campaign 3, Summoning Campaign 4, and a Friend Point campaign. I'm only going to be talking about the units inside of Summoning Campaign 1. I'm also not going to be going over the welfare all that much, just because they are a free unit, and you should just get them regardless of anything, because that's an additional archer for your grand score that can give you anything. You should just get them in general, but I think they're just kind of okay from what I can remember. I haven't focused too much on it because I've been mainly focused on the raids. My basic point here is that it's a free unit, just get them and you'll be fine. For this one, I will talk about Takeda Shingen and Nagakura Shinpachi and Mori, and I'll save for a later day the other new unit that is coming, which is going to be here for Summoning Campaign 3, which is going to be Kenshin. This one appeared on December 6th, so I believe it's a week later, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, it was basically a week later is when the Kenshin banner will show up with Shinpachi. But yeah, Summoning Campaign 1 will be Takeda Shingen, and Nagakura Shinpachi and Mori, which is also a limited 3-star. For Summoning Campaign 2, it's going to be Okita Soji, Hijikata, Saito, and Mori, with Okita showing first, and then 2 days later, I believe. Yes, 2 days later, that is when Hijikata will show up. So no, actually it wasn't. Yes, it was. Okay, sorry. I got a little confused by the gray. Summoning Campaign 2 will feature Kenshin, Shinpachi, and Mori. And Summoning Campaign 4 will feature Azuma no Okoni, Okita J Soji, Okita Soji Alter. I mean, she could have a J in the middle name for all I know. And Sen no Rikyo along with Mori, with the first one being Okoni, and then 2 days later it will be the one with Okita Alter, and then 2 days later after that, it's Sen no Rikyo. And then for the Friend Point banner, Oda Nobukatsu will be available during the entire time. You should try and get him if you do not have him. The limited craft essence that will also be available in the welfare, in the free-to-play banner will also be the craft essence EXP cards, along with a lot of the older 3-star event Cs as well, if you want to get those as well. Like you want to get Medusa on this bike, which is a very nice shot of her bike. So yeah, Summoning Campaign 1. The limited craft essence, which is going to be on a lot of them, are Seaway Meteor Shower, Northern Willow, and Still a Long Way Until Mount Fuji. For the gold material drop, it's going to be the 5-star. What it does is ignore invincibility, crit damage plus 15%, and NP damage plus 15%. For the 4-star that gives the silver material, it'll be NP gauge plus 3% every turn, arts plus 3, crit damage plus 10%. And then for the 3-star one, it's crit stars plus 1 every turn, and then quick plus 3%. And this will give you the bronze material. And those are very simple, and like I said, these will be featured across all of the limited banners. So, now let's talk about the banner, finally. Way too long into the video, we talk about this banner. First we have, I won't go fully into Mori. The main thing about Mori that you need to know is that he's a limited 3, so if you like your boy Mori, this is your chance to get more copies of him. He's not as well liked as Izzo in terms of the ones that people go for him, but I think he's neat. I think he's cool. They call him AKA the Demon Musashi. His main kit seems to be built around getting killed. He's a berserker that doesn't really have a way to protect himself, but that's okay because he grants an on-death activated buff, so you kind of want him to be killed at some point. And that's the main basic way that Mori kind of functions. He's limited, so if you can get more copies of him, I would suggest getting him. Or if you want more copies of him, this is a great time to do it. I have mine at MP5. So any bonus ones is just anything that can go to as a pen skill. So we'll start with my boy, Shinpachi, looking very different from how I'm used to seeing him in Gintama. He is a limited servant, he is a berserker, he is a 4-star, he has, give me a sec because I think work is currently messaging me. It was answered. So anyway, like I was saying, Shinpachi, Berserker. He has 1 quick, 1 arts, 3 busters, 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, and 6 hits on extra. His active skills are Recklessness, A, increases his own buster performance for 3 turns, and grants self a buff on defense buff for 3 turns, gains 10 crit stars when attacking, grants self a gut status for 1 time 3 turns, 30% to buster, revives with 3000 HP on a cooldown of 6. His second skill is Eye of the Mind True B, grants self-evasion for 1 turn, increases own defense for 3 turns. His defense increases by 18%, which is not enough for a Berserker, and this is on a cooldown of 6. His third skill is Battle Ready C, increases his own critical star absorption of buster cards for 1 turn, increases his own crit damage by 1 turn, and then gain crit stars. 5,000 to buster absorption. The crit damage is 100%, and this is on the stars he gains are 10, and this is on a cooldown of 4. His passive skills are Madness and Enhancement D+, the only one he has. His offense skill is an Anti-Saber critical attack chance resistance, and then his Noble Phantasm is the Ryohiken, the Dragon Flight Blade. Its rank is nothing. It's an anti-unit mystic sword. It hits 4 times. It's buster. Increases own crit damage by 100% for 1 turn, activates first. Remove 1 enemy's evasive buffs, activates first. And then deals damage to 1 enemy. At MP level 1, it's 600%. And if you get him all the way to the final MP level, it's 1000. And then he also, on overcharge, increases his own buster performance for 1 turn. This activates first. It's 20% on charge level 1. And if you get him all the way to the final charge level, it's 40%. And his Bonsi is a Man's Will. When equipped to Shinpachi, increases party's critical damage but buster cards by 30% while he's on the field. And that is Shinpachi. How is Shinpachi? I really like Shinpachi. Let me start with that. I really do like Shinpachi. I like all members of the Shinsengumi. This is my main guy. This is the last unit that I'm going for. In terms of how he is as a unit, he's just kind of okay. So the main issue is that he actually has a lot of really nice buffs, and if you can get every single one of them to activate at the perfect time, he's going to be doing a lot of crit damage. If you get into the fact of the natural crit damage that busters already do, combine things to Merlin and stuff like that, dudes that can help him get more crit damage out of it. In theory, he's going to be doing 200% crit damage if you get this activated, his Noble Phantasm and his third skill. He's going to be doing a lot of crit damage for 1 turn. That turn. And then every other turn happens. And then you kind of have to build your time and kind of wait. I really wish that third skill was on a cooldown of 3. Because at its perfect moment of when you activate it, you would want to activate it when you have at least 2 buster cards. And his Noble Phantasm is up at the same time. But unfortunately, he also doesn't have, like... he doesn't really have a way to MP charge himself. So that means if you miss your window or you don't have enough NP charger or something like that, or you're not able to buff him with someone else, he's very likely to miss it, so that the most you can get is actually just 3 buster cards and kind of going from there. So I feel like they could have made it so that it was more on an easy rotation, but maybe they would have considered that too good with someone like Vich, because you would have been able to constantly get it. But I don't know, I think you would rather use him with someone like Merlin to get the maximum amount of his crit damage. But if you want to get less crit damage and maybe get a little bit more, Koyanskaya can help with the fact that he doesn't get very much NP. And the fact that he doesn't get very much NP on his when he's attacking or in general from any of his moves kind of makes it so I think he's kind of an awkward unit to use, which is very unfortunate. But again, I think he's really cool. I look forward to potentially getting him. He just looks so fucking cool. It might just be because I just love the Shinsengumi so much. And also old dudes are also cool to me, but this just looks great to me. It also does help that he is the opposite of what I would expect of Shinpachi after Gintama. But yeah, I would love to have every single member of the Shinsengumi on my side, so I will definitely be going for him. But if you're curious about him from someone who's like, well, how is he actually as I go for one of the other ones? He ends up being someone that's going to be a little bit awkward to use, I think, for most people, unless you super care about him. There's a lot of units that are able to get a lot of crit damage, and you don't have to go through the kind of hoops that you have to go through with him, I would say. At least that's how it feels like just from looking at him. But again, I look forward to getting him. Hopefully I do get him. I'm going to be real mad if I end up getting Takeda on this one. Not because I think he's bad. He's likely way better than Shinpachi, but I really want Shinpachi. Anyway, let's talk about Takeda Shingen. He is a limited servant. He is a writer. He has 1 quick, 1 arts, 3 buster. And he also is a weird lobster man. Yeah, he turns more Pokemon-like as he evolves. Turns into that guy from Fire Emblem, who I cannot remember the name of at the moment, but he's the lobster man from Fire Emblem. Ryoma, thank you. My brother coming in with a save. If I did not mention, he has a quick and arts, 3 buster, 4 hits on quick, 4 hits on arts, 4 hits on buster, 5 hits on extra. His active skills are Tiger of Kai A, increases party's attack for 3 turns, then reduces 1 ally's skill cooldown by 1, 20% to attack, and cooldown is of 6. His second skill is the Crimson Flame A, increases own buster performance for 3 turns, then charges own NP gauge, gain critical stars, 30% to buster, 50% to NP, and the stars you gain are 20 on the cooldown of 6. His third skill is Unrivaled B, grants self-invincibility for 3 attacks, 3 turns, reduces own damage taken for 3 turns, increases own MP generation rate for 3 turns, 500 damage taken, damage taken less is 500, NP rate is 30%, and this is on a cooldown of 6. His passive skills are Writing A, Magic Resistance D, and Territory Creation Takeda C, which increases own arts performance by 5%, and then increases own critical attack chance resistance by 10%. His append skill for the third one is an anti-ruler attack damage aptitude, because he hates Kenshin in particular, unless you read certain fan art. And then his double phantasm is the Forden Kazen, the Wind Forest Fire Mountain, which you will remember, this is a trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not. the name is slightly different, but I do remember the Kazen part. Rank B, anti-army, hits 8 times, it's a buster. Seals all enemy NP for 1 turn, activates first, and then deals damage to them. At MP level 1, it's 300%, and if you get them all the way to MP level 5, it is 500%. His overcharge effect is reduces all enemies' quick resistance for a single turn, arts and buster as well. These all activate first. It's 20% down for quick, arts, and buster at charge level 1, and if you get them all the way to the final charge level, it is 40% for each of them. And then his Bonsi is the Pride of Takeda. When equipped to Takeda, increases party's buster performance by 10%, and then increases party's NP damage by 10% while he is on the field. And that is Takeda Shingen. Shin man. The shin bones of this man. How is he? He seems perfectly good to me. I think the main takeaway is that he just doesn't have anything that super jumps out at me as like, oh my god, this would be insane if you go against these people in particular. It's more that he just has like a lot of nice utility to him. And I think that ends up being perfectly fine. He seems like a unit that you could use in, if you wanted to use him as a looping unit. He'd be pretty easy to do, especially since he has a 50%er instead of a 30%er, which is pretty nice for a lot of newer people into the game, because I've talked to some new people who have found a little bit of trouble trying to grind with 30% NP chargers versus 50%er, so that's something nice to keep in mind. His skills are pretty nicely effective, even if they're not super crazy jumping out at me, just kind of some nice party attack. The ability to give himself invincibility for 3 attacks over 3 turns is pretty nice. I don't know why he increases his NP generation rate when he only has like 2 cards that can generate NP, but at least you'll be getting a little bit more. I guess it's a little bit more of a tacked on little bonus, like here you go. You get a little bit more as well as being able to take less damage over time, which would be a little bit helpful for certain challenge quests. And in terms of his Noble Phantasm, the ability to seal NPs can be extremely effective in a lot of difficult battles. I've been able to prevent myself from dying from being able to just seal NPs, and especially if you're in a challenging quest where if you, let's say, you are about to be blasted in the face by every single enemy and their NP at the exact same time, then yeah, sealing all those enemies on an AoE is pretty effective and nice. I'm not gonna lie on that. And then he can also reduce them in case someone else on the team is maybe a little bit is also a damage dealer, and you can also bring in and do there. So yeah, I think he ends up being just a very nice unit. I don't think he ends up being so crazy that I'm like, oh my god, drop everything to get him. But it sounds like if you like him, he's going to be a very effective unit for him. If you have any specific other things that you would say about Takeda, like if you're a fan of him, then let me know what you specifically think about him. I could see this being the case of a unit that is just kind of on a base level good, but could probably use a buff if you wanted to make him just a little bit better and maybe a little bit more interesting. At least that's how I currently feel. If you have a specific feeling about Takeda, let me know. But I think for the most part, he just ends up being a perfectly fine unit. Acceptable levels of unit. Nothing that really jumps out at me as like super crazy bad. But the last time I felt like that about a writer, in terms of the past, I always bring up to this one where Constantine, I thought was really awesome, and then it turned out that a lot of people thought that he was like the worst writer in the game. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt, I guess. He seems perfectly fine to me, though. And that is finally GudaGuda Super Goryokaku. Sorry that this video is going to be released, like, I think, literally on the 19th, but I've been so crazy busy with work that it's been hard to, like, find time to record stuff, as I mentioned in my post about it, and I've been very thankful for a lot of people who have been like, hey, don't worry about it, we'll wait for it. I thank you guys a whole bunch, because it means a lot. I am going to be summoning on... I think I'm going to end up summoning on Shingen's banner just simply because it's either going to be between... I don't think there will be a video... Oh man, I don't know, to be honest with you. It's between him or Kenshin. I don't really need Takeda, so I feel like I'm just going to likely just wait for Kenshin. And that's going to be the banner I'm going to be summoning on. The reason is that I think I like the way Kenshin looks. So if I was going to have a chance of failing at Shinpachi, I think I'd be happier to go for Kenshin. I would be pretty okay with getting Shingen, but I also have Iskandar, and I know eventually he's going to be a really powerhouse unit, and he would be my kind of go-to for writer AoEs. Actually, funny enough, because of my my grand score, a lot of my writers are very powerful, even though I only use them for quests. So he would end up being excellent under me for sure, but... I'll have to think about it a little bit more. I don't know, if you see a summon video going up on the 20th, then you know that I decided to go for Shingen. But I'm kind of like torn a little bit between the two about whether or not I'm going to be summoning for him. I'll see how I feel. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you very much for putting up with my crazy schedule at work. Hopefully it will calm down a little bit as we get closer to Thanksgiving before picking it up as we get into the Christmas season. I appreciate every single one that watches, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I wish you all the best of luck if you decide to summon for Takeda Shingen or for Shinpachi, whichever one. And I wish you all the best of luck. Till next time. Bye-bye. Peace out. And this long-ass video can finally end, thank God.